And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Untitled Political Show. That I don't know if we're ever going to title it. I don't know.
Let's just call it Untitled.
Yeah, just call it Untitled.
Untitled. Yeah, we'll just do that. We'll roll with it.
Just roll with Untitled
for now.
Untitled every week. But we are here. We are live. We got a great panel today. Looking forward to it. I haven't been here in a couple of weeks. Ryan's been handling things over on his Patriot Outpost channel. But I think there's a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the worshiping of Zelensky, the second coming, the greatest human being to ever live. He's here. And our politicians on both the left and the right pretty much just making a mockery of America. Is pretty disgusting. But we got RK Outpost, Ryan Kennel. Hello, Ryan Kennel.
Oh, what's up? Yeah, I was bitching earlier as we were waiting to start about all the people that take all the handles that I actually want on social media that just never use them. So yeah, that was a topic of discussion. But I'm doing good. I'm ready to talk about it. Obviously, we like to keep the entertainment and the politics a little bit separate. We talked a little bit about Zelensky and things like that on Tuesday night's main event, but we really want to go all in it now. So I'm ready to rock and roll.
Let's do it. Let's do it. We have Ohio Tate University, big Andrew Tate fan here. Suresh from 221B Tactical. What's up, Suresh?
What's going on?
How you doing, man? I haven't talked to you in a little while, so it's good to see you.
Yeah, we missed you last week, but we were able to push through.
Yeah,
somehow
you guys held it down. Somehow. Well, I'll tell you what, one thing that we did last night after Tuesday night's main event is we brought home some dubs. Me and my boy Drew, Beardo, Krista. It was Dub City on Fortnite last night. We closed out with a victory. I think Drew had 11 or 12 kills in that final match. So how the hell are you, Drew?
Good. I maybe got maybe 4 hours of sleep, which is fine. It's all good.
Yeah.
The grind never stops. The devil never sleeps, so why should I?
I heard that. Yeah. I heard that. Well, it's always awesome to have you. And this is a great panel. And this is kind of what we want this show to kind of become is get really awesome voices on here to talk about some of these things going on in the world. And I think the most prominent thing, this happened about 5 or 6 days ago. Zelensky, president of Ukraine, is basically just he's been treated like a legitimate religious figure, standing before Congress, watching our politicians standing behind him with the Ukrainian flag, and also moments where he's walking down the aisle and they're putting their hands on him like they're feeling the Holy Spirit of one Zelensky. And I'm just going to show the opening right here. And again, to be clear, as we said last night, I think that there is legitimate reasons to feel for the people of Ukraine. I do. I'm sure many of you do. If you're just a decent human being, that's not what the problem is here. The problem is that our country is overlooking horrifically terrible things that are going on right now. Humanitarian crisis in our own country, border crisis in our own country, and sending billions and billions and billions of dollars over here to another country to protect them. And it's nonsense. And that's what the problem is. It's not that Ukraine shouldn't have support or people shouldn't feel sympathy or anything like that. And I think that's one of the messages that gets misconstrued a lot. But let's just show again. I want you to think about how would Donald Trump be treated, a former president, versus this right here. This is insane to me. This is insane.
Of Ukraine.
God.
Ugh.
What
Uncle
was that?
Fester.
What was that?
What was
I was
that?
like some kind of Sesame Street character.
Yeah. Is freaking Norman Osborn in drag.
Was that Cruella DeVille?
Norman Osborn.
It's Willem Dafoe. It is from Boondock Saints.
Oh my!
What it looks like. This entire the whole thing is so scripted, right? Zelensky's an actor and he's putting on an act. The fact that he goes in there without a suit, right? That he stays in this like wartime attire, Right.
Yes.
It's so fucking pathetic that so many people have fallen in on this. The media, celebrities, politicians, everybody on both sides trying to push this fucking narrative about Zelensky. And it's ridiculous.
It is. And to your point about him, what he's wearing and how he's not even in a suit and tie. And that is strategic. That is 100% strategic. It's to kind of put this image out here. This man is coming from a war-torn environment. We have to support him. It's all meant to put, like, again, this is a guy who's had, was it Sean Penn showed up and I guess gave him his Oscar or said he was going to give him his Oscar.
His act is fooling a lot of people, so may as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And so again, this is nonsense on another level, and it disgusted me. And it disgusted me because I'm used to the left-wing Democrats being like this. You had so many Republicans just falling over themselves over this thing. And I did like what, and then I'm going to toss this over to Suresh, but I did like this one right here. Matt Gates says that at least we found a flag that Democrats are willing to stand for.
That was savage.
That is savage. So, what do you think about all this?
The mic fell through the floor.
What do you think about all this nonsense, Suresh?
Listen, here's what is undeniable. I always like to have people look at what is going on while this is going on. And that is what people are not seeing. People are not, it's kind of like the magician, right? The magician does something with the pretty girl over here, while over here is where he's really setting up the trick and doing what needs to be done, but he can't have you notice this, right? So what are we not noticing? We're not noticing that Nancy Pelosi, while holding a Ukraine flag and approving sending another 30-40 billion to the Ukraine to hit the total now of 91 billion. Meanwhile, on the streets of her district, you have homeless people dying. You have homeless veterans dying on the streets, and it's not just a couple here and there. There is it's overwhelming how many people are there on her streets dying. You look at the southern border, our border, and you look at what's happening. Our country's getting invaded, if you would. And a lot of people are saying that at this point with the numbers, 5 million as an estimate, that is an invasion. And it's not just people from Mexico. It's from people from countries all around the world using the southern border as an entry point. So those are the things that are happening while they're cheering this guy. Now, a lot of people also forget that just a few years ago, some of the same people who are approving the checks going to Ukraine were talking about how corrupt the Ukraine was and how it's one of the most corrupt states that you could even ever imagine. And they were talking about how deep the corruption was there. Now, all of a sudden, we're sending more. And Ryan and I talked about this last week. We've sent them more money to date than the first 5 years of the conflict in the Middle East. Then the first 5 years of the conflict in the Middle East, we've sent them more already. So why are we... I'm with you, Jeremy. I understand there is a reason to help protect Ukraine from Russia. I get that. I think most people get that. However, the level at which it's going, to me, something seems off. And I think you're right. I think there's people who are getting their pockets padded somehow on both sides of the aisle, because I can't imagine that people are just standing for this and letting it go on. Meanwhile, you have our own country falling apart. It makes no sense to me. And the fact that there are people on both sides of the aisle like just treating this guy like a god, give him more money, comes to ask for more. Yeah, give him more billions. It just, something sounds off.
What about you, Drew? I know you've got thoughts on this.
Well, I just think for people that might be, kind of politically naive or maybe kind of like just really getting their feet wet in politics, is you got to understand there is no Democrat, there is no Republican Party. It's the uniparty exists. The globalists are on both sides here in this country and worldwide abroad. So I think the two-party system is kind of like an illusion of what they call democracy, or an illusion of a constitutional republic, because anyone that's actually a constitutionalist that speaks out against the uniparty, especially in DC, gets canceled. And that's why anyone that disagrees with what's happening with Ukraine and Zelensky gets canceled as well and gets demonized in the media. And you see that happening all day long. Now, I think the bigger picture is the New World Order is real. The globalist entity is 100% in existence. These people talk about it. People like Klaus Schwab are open about their globalist world dominion agenda. People like Bill Gates are all real. All these people clearly talk about, I mean, right now, because a lot of people that may not be interested in, you know, the New World Order or the globalist or the World Economic Forum agenda may think that people like Alex Jones are a conspiracy theorist, or people think that what I'm saying is just a conspiracy theory. I'll tell you this, okay? We live in a different age. We live in a different generation. We're in a spot in the timeline where you can literally read and listen to what these globalist entities are saying for themselves. Alex Jones has been saying this for a long time, but right now I think there's a lot of young people that are waking up to the reality that there is this global cabal that's pulling all the strings. And you take a look at the World Economic Forum. You guys mentioned the border, right? It's not a border crisis. I stopped calling it that a long time ago. The World Economic Forum is pro-open borders. They think that open borders is going to increase in revenue for countries in the trillions. And they also believe that open borders and replacement migration is something that is progressive for countries, not just the United States of America. All this is in their own writings on the World Economic Forum website. They believe in the open borders, and also they believe in a one world government. These people are always talking about unity. They make it sound good. They make it sound great. They're talking about a one world, you know, economic system where everyone is just enjoying each other and everyone is just sharing. It's like this totalitarian globalist communism. But when you take a look at it from the top down, and they all talk about this, it makes sense that they need a political figure. Okay, it's almost like this antichrist agenda. It is an antichrist agenda where you have this political messianic figure, right? That can do no harm, that could say no evil, that could do no evil, that's propped up. I mean, when you take a look at what happened in DC with Zelensky, that is the epitome, in my opinion, that is a propaganda piece, okay, that these people are putting on full display to show that America is not sovereign anymore. Because when you bring in a foreign president to come give a State of the Union style speech, and he also said that, what did Zelensky say? Your money is not just charity. It's not just donations. You're investing in the global security and democracy of the world. Globalism, okay? So when they have a globalist sitting in DC, speaking to the American people and the world at large, where the president is supposed to be giving a State of the Union style speech, he wasn't speaking to America. He was speaking to the world. And this is what these globalists do. And they try to make it normalized by these little events. And it's propaganda to get people to think that it's actually somehow normal that you have some foreigners sitting there giving a State of the Union style speech, waving our flag. It's just so insane, dude. It's all an agenda, and none of this is happening by coincidence. It is all a controlled demolition of the West.
Yeah, and I think that when you like take a step back and look at what is going on in Ukraine with Russia invading Ukraine, to just pretend, I think most people in America aren't super fond of Russia in general. They see them as a threat to everything that the United States wants to do and you know loves. But at the same time, you can't just pretend like this is just Russia being big bad meanies. They did this for a reason. They did this because the West has been encroaching upon Russia for a very long time. Adding Finland and Sweden, they're going to become part of NATO as well very soon. You have all these countries that when the Soviet Union dissolved, one of the things that Russia wanted was to keep this barrier between them and NATO for a very good reason. As you've fucking seen in the war with Ukraine, when Ukraine files a missile into Poland, a NATO country, they tried to start World War fucking III to get NATO completely on board with their agenda with this war. There's a reason. If we say all of a sudden Russia came in and started getting incredibly involved in Canada and essentially try to install their own government in Canada, have all their own ideals in Canada, don't you think the United States would get pretty fucking worried about what's going on? That's what the West forced in Ukraine. That's why Ukraine has been very controversial. They've been corrupt as fuck because you have people in Russia and from the West trying to run that government for their own purposes. So to pretend like well, it's just because Putin's insane. That's why he invaded Ukraine. That's not the case.
Nope.
So you have all these people in the West sitting here. We are the reason that a lot of this happened by trying to force Ukraine to become a part of NATO. And to ignore that, to ignore the real geopolitical ramifications of everything that's happened over the past couple years is insane. But that's not the story anymore. It's all about Zelensky. It's all about how the good, freedom-loving, democracy-loving Ukrainian people and the Ukrainian government, we just need to stand in and help them.
Zelensky is Ukraine is the new black people. Okay, you got to see it this way. All right, you got to see it this way. Zelensky is and Ukraine is the new black people, and Zelensky is the new BLM. All right. BLM was a Trojan horse in 2020 to usher in mainstream communism. I mean, they infiltrated everything. They infiltrated the NBA. They infiltrated Disney. They infiltrated
video games.
Literally everything, right? It was a Trojan horse to get people open to the ideas of Marxism and communism, mainstream. The same thing's happening with globalism on a wide scale with Ukraine and with Zelensky, because when you get a figure like this that is so influential just out of nowhere, for the entire world to just look up to and glorify. And what is he preaching? What is this guy's message? His message is globalism. You heard that in the State of the Union, but they use Ukraine, they use his star power, they use his platform as a Trojan horse to get it into the American public, get it into the culture, and get people to embrace globalism. You see this stuff happening all the time. And if we're not smart, and I know the chat's not dumb. Maybe there are some stupid trolls in there and woke tards and losers. But if we're not smart and we don't learn from what happened in 2020, this is going to happen with Zelensky. Mark my words, dude, because nobody cares about black people anymore. Nobody cares about, white killer cops shooting black people. Where did that go? The PSYOP's gone. They're done with that one, right? Now they're
It'll come back before the election, though.
But right now, we're dealing with the same thing when it comes to Ukraine and Zelensky. Zelensky is a bigger grifter and more successful grifter than BLM. He's gaining billions, dude. It's absolutely insane, but it's this playbook that you see in order to get the general public to embrace some radical ideas that are
I have a question for everybody. Is Zelensky the Antichrist? That's what I want to know.
No.
Okay.
I think it's bigger than him, but I think that one of the things and Drew, you hit it right on the head. What is even more disturbing about the entire BLM hoax and scam is that no one's talking about it. There's no big, you're talking about tens of millions of dollars and all these celebrities and all these media hosts and all these athletes that were all in on BLM. And then it came out, there's the expose that it was all a scam, it was a fraud, and no money went to actual concerns of black people. There was no funding that went to anywhere of any substance. They couldn't even show any documentation. Hey, we took some millions and did this with this and helped this. They couldn't do any of it. And now there's silence. There is no uproar. There's no, hey, hold on a second. There's nothing. I think the only thing I saw was, I think it was Sharon Osbourne, who gave tens of millions of dollars, was like, I want my money back. And that was like a flash in the pan and it was gone. Now there's nothing. There's no discussion about it. And I think the same thing's going to happen here. We know, I think anyone with a brain in between their ears knows that it's only a matter of time before this whole Ukraine Zelensky scam comes to light. And my fear is that once it does, once again, no one's going to sit. It's gonna come to light. They're like, oh, it was all a scam. Holy crap, the guy took $100 billion from us. Anyway, and on to the next thing. Just like with BLM, you don't see the NFL, you don't see the NBA, you don't see any of these athletes or Hollywood celebs. You don't see any of them saying, I just want to, come forward and say that I supporting this BLM, I supported it. I was wrong. They were fraud. And I now am against them. You haven't heard a single person say that at all. So I think it's the same thing like Drew said, it's on a bigger scale. Now you're talking, instead of tens of millions of dollars, now you're talking of tens of billions of dollars. And what's going to come of it? No one's seeing it. And just like with BLM, what are we seeing? If you right now speak in a manner that isn't, I'm with Ukraine, if you don't have the thing around your Facebook thing and you don't have the flag somewhere on your social media, somehow you're a bad person and you don't care. And they did the same thing with BLM. If you didn't post the black square to your social media, somehow you just hated black people. You were racist. You don't care about black people. You support white cops murdering innocent black people in the street, right? Like as if they're just like pulling up and like, assassinating people. That's how it was with BLM. And now that just disappeared. There's no repercussions for that. And it's the same thing here.
Yep. And to your point, with this right here, and this is not a new meme, but it's obviously going to get a lot more traction now because Elon posted it last night. But that's the classic case thing right there. Like, they brainwashed you, telling the guy standing there with his American flag that's been there his whole life, like, they brainwashed you. And it's like, really? And that's the thing. Now the Ukraine flag is the new BLM. It's what it is. And the people that are out there pushing it, again, these are the same people. The people that have got the Ukraine flag in their bio are the same people that hate Trump. Mm-hmm. Well, Trump didn't have a fucking war with Ukraine and Russia, but you wanted him out. Trump had no new wars, but you're all about how, oh, we can't have war and I stand with Ukraine, but I also hate Donald Trump. And it's like these people just, they can't think for themselves. And of course, Elon's been, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, but I did want to share this meme. But yeah, Elon's been, he's having a fun day with the pronoun crowd right there. This person right here responded with the pronouns, and then he's going at it. So we'll talk about that here in a little while.
If you care about the people of Ukraine, for all these people that have fucking flags in their bios, I support Ukraine without having any idea what that actually means. If you actually want to help the people of Ukraine, you should be pushing for a ceasefire agreement. You should be pushing for NATO to withdraw any type of seeking Ukraine to enter that fucking treaty. And you should be trying to get Ukraine to make an agreement that, no, we're not going to fucking join up with NATO, and for Russia to withdraw. That is the actual fucking culmination of what should happen in this situation. Anything else just continues to push towards the brink of a massive global war that goes year after year after year, that potentially has the possibility to end in nuclear war. Like,
it's a grift and a lie, dude. Like, really think about what these people are doing, right? These same climate crusaders, you have Zelensky, you have all these people running around saying the world's going to end, lower your carbon footprint, get rid of your fossil fuels, buy an electric car. Oh, even though you can't afford it. Oh, it's okay. Then just die. All these people that are claiming that the climate is changing and global warming and we need to just start a climate cult and all this. You have Zelensky asking for tens of billions of dollars for missiles, military equipment that are not going to lower the carbon footprint whatsoever, potentially further sparking a nuclear war in Europe. Okay, so these people don't even care. And I mentioned this on the Geeks and Gaming stream last night, is that you had this guy a couple days ago literally asking the US for another $1 billion. It was like 835 million, I think, asking for another $1 billion so that they could have infrastructure and more gas so they could survive the European winter 2022. But I thought, climate change. No, they don't care. They don't care. They care only about the power that they wield. Once they get that damn gauntlet and all the infinity stones inside of it, when you give that to them, you give them that. You give them your rights. You give them the amendments. You give them the Constitution. You give them all your freedoms. You put the damn mask on. You give them the climate change agenda. You give them every single one of those stones. They get the gauntlet, and then it's total totalitarian power and control over the people. You think these people are going to give up any of that once they get that agenda inside? They're hypocrites now. They will always be hypocrites later. So people need to wake up to the fact that all of this is a grift and a scam, and it's meant for one thing. They're not just hypocrites, right? These people know they're hypocrites. That's the sinister part about this. And they sit there with an arrogant damn smile on their face, knowing that there's a bunch of lemming, stupid, woke-tard people out there that just believe this stuff and actually think that these people care about planet Earth and its citizens. No. These people have an arrogant smile. That's why they always have that smug look on their face, because one, they know a bunch of stupid people are going to believe it, and two, they don't care. They know they're hypocrites. They know all they want is power, and they're going to get it once they do it. That is why they make all these hypocritical decisions. Because I think a lot of people will sit there and be like, oh my gosh, they get all gaslit. What hypocrites? No. These people know what they're doing, dude. They just don't give a damn. and they know they could do it and get away with it.
Well, with this whole thing, I want to ask you guys something, because it's actually I haven't talked about this publicly, but there's a video I'm actually working on right now, and I think it applies to a lot of the globalization and you basically a world one unity type of thing. And I want your take on this. Have you guys noticed all like fast food restaurants are all designed the same now? There's no personality anymore. They're just this basic box. All of our vehicles are starting to look the same. There's no personality. Do you think that that has a small piece of what you're talking about just keeping people unified? No identity anymore, no creativity anymore. Everything's just streamlined into the same exact thing, looking the same. And do you think that ties into the bigger picture of what you're talking about the one world unity bullshit and the globalization, making everything the exact same? Nothing is different. Everything appears the same. It's to take your subconscious mind and make you realize that there is no difference in building A, building B, building C, whether it's a Pizza Hut or a Taco Bell or a McDonald's. They all look the fucking same now. Like they all look the same. And I feel like that there's something more to that. Look at the corporate logos now. None of them have an identity anymore. None of them have their own. They're all streamlined to look the exact same. Every store has the same shit. I remember growing up, if we go to a different store, you would find different stuff in a different store. There's almost nothing different now. It's crazy. And I think that's
what a cult is, dude. Like that. Yeah. That is literally what a cult is, where everyone looks the same, thinks the same, speaks the same. And the most identifying factor of a cult and a red flag is when the group think gets violated. And then when the group think, once it gets violated, everyone retaliates against the defector. You see this in North Korea. You've seen this in the commie regimes, the socialist regimes. And we're seeing it now here in the United States of America, where if you say the wrong thing, you think the wrong thing, you get Gina Carano'd immediately, right? Hollywood, you see it across the entire board. What's interesting about this is, you know, I'm a Christian, you guys, and people may not agree with what I say, which I really don't care, because, you know, I know God is with me. But when you really do look at this from like a biblical perspective, the Bible talks about a one world government, one world religion, one world leader, and one world economic system with the mark of the beast, 666 in the forearm and the forehead. Okay. You take a look at that and you match that up with where we are in the world today. You see it abundantly clear that these things are in motion, that they're working towards that goal, and they're all coming together. Now, what people need to understand is unity is not bad. I don't want people to sit here and be like, oh my gosh, you just want everyone to be divided. No. Unity is not a bad thing. It's just their definition of unity is satanic, okay? And it's cultish, because you can't disagree with what they believe in. You can't disagree with what they say. You can't even say what you want to say without getting censored or deplatformed or canceled, okay? So these people have a definition of unity that is quite synonymous with cult, okay? So when we talk about unity, we're talking about coming together, having a set of values that all coincide with each other, that allow us to coexist in a manner that's not globalist or satanic, but that's peaceful and progressive humanity, not in a homosexual or sodomitic way, but in a way that's actually the way that God intended us to be. God has blessed us with individuality. The devil wants to take it. We all have our individual gifts and talents and views and abilities to do things. And these people want to take that and strip it away from us, because they want a total, universal, globalist, just everyone act, think, NPC world. And I mean, I'm going on a crazy Bible rant, but I just I'm at the point where I'm like, people, please just wake up to the reality that someone put in the chat. I really liked this comment. I got to find who said it, but someone said, conspiracy theories are just spoilers.
Yeah.
Whoever said that in the chat, I'm like, dude, and if you think all these conspiracy theories that are coming true are like, damn, that actually took true, just wait till you see some Bible prophecies start to unfold again.
Right here, to your point.
I mean, to be totally frank, almost every conspiracy theory that people had about Twitter turned out to be true. Is there a conspiracy theory about Twitter that didn't turn out to be true? So far, they've all turned out to be true. And if not, more true than people thought.
So yeah, so to Drew's point, and that's what conspiracy theories are now. They're just predictions, is all they are. And yes, by the way, so yeah, Drew is we had to let Drew off the leash today because he held back on Geeks and Gamers last night. So he was like, but I was like, no, dude, not on this show. You could let her rip on this show. So he's all in now.
Yeah.
So.
I think it is funny, like when you think of unity, that's what they're talking about when they're pushing unity. Every single person thinking exactly the same as a fucking NPC that's been programmed by the powers that be. In reality, what we should be striving for in terms of unity is about people that have completely opposing views, maybe on how to accomplish things and how to get things done. People on the left, people on the right, Democrats, Republicans, whatever you want to fucking call people. Those people actually being able to coexist without somebody else trying to cancel them and take their entire fucking life away because you don't agree with something. Like that is what we're seeing right now in the United States and really across the world at a global scale is fascism. You know, you have these people that are controlling what everybody should be thinking. And whether you see it from the government, whether you see it from big tech like Twitter, whether you see it from these corporations in the entertainment industry, they're all peddling the same exact thing. And if you're not down with that, you don't deserve to have a livelihood. You don't deserve to continue on in society. That's the unity that they want.
Mm-hmm. And it goes to a level that's even more disturbing when the people they supposedly support and are, fighting for and are standing with, they go against them if they don't align with the narrative. One example, I know a friend who left the Ukraine and she came here and she's been here now for about 5 years. And when she spoke out on social media about the realities of the Ukraine, she got completely killed. They went after her with every dagger they could. And she said, hold on. I came here from the Ukraine. I know what's happening over there. I know the reality of the government. I know the reality of this regime. I am speaking from experience from being there and then coming here. And now you folks you probably don't even know where the Ukraine is on the map are telling me that I don't know what I'm talking about because I'm going against the narrative. And I've had the same thing happen in instances. And Jeremy, I've told you about this, where I speak up about people who were, during the BLM thing. I spoke up to people and said, hey, listen, a lot of this is just simply not true. It's simply fabricated. And as a man of color who's lived in this country my whole life, and I've dealt with different things during my lifetime, but here's the reality. There's nowhere I can't go. There's no building I can't walk into. There's no school I can't walk into. There's no place I can't apply for a job. There's no water fountain I can't drink from. I can do anything I want in this country and go anywhere I want. So when I say I don't quite agree with this, racism in the ether that's holding all these people down, and I need to get handouts from the government, and I need this and I need that. When I say that's not quite true, I'm living proof of it, and I don't quite agree with it. What happens? They came after me. They come after me and they say, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that. I'm like, wait a second. I'm part of the group that you're supporting. And I'm just sitting here saying this is not entirely true. Nope, doesn't matter. Somehow I became the racist. Somehow I became the racist because I was saying, well, I don't know. Maybe there's some very successful people of color in this country that are doing great things, and they're not complaining about our current situation. And they're not saying America is a racist country at all. They're millionaires, and we have black billionaires and athletes and this and that, and they all made it somehow. How did they not all end up killed by the racist cops who were going around executing people? No, they all made it. They got their millions of dollars. They move out of the ghetto to all white neighborhoods protected by private police and high security gates and high walls, and yet they're saying, yeah, this country's racist, man. This country's racist. And if you say, hold on, wait a second, hold on, you become the enemy. You become the bad guy. And it's like, it is unbelievable how quick they turn. How quick they turn when you simply ask a question.
Yep. It's amazing how that works out. And that's because it's
Kanye used to be a black billionaire.
Yeah.
I really want, people to just kind of have this lens, when you view the world, from a biblical perspective, even when you view the world from how these globalists view the world and you put that lens on, you put that filter on, all this stuff starts to really make some damn sense. You know, like when you take a look at how the World Economic Forum projects, this is on their website. You can literally Google this or DuckDuckGo, whatever, and find it yourself. It's out in the open. They project by 2030 that the United States of America will no longer be a superpower. They also project that by 2030 that the U.S. values will no longer have any kind of dominance or influence on planet Earth any longer. So when you see Zelensky giving that State of the Union style speech, and then you start to see all the NPCs flood Twitter with American flags with Ukraine colors, that is exactly what you are seeing. It's the neutering of the sovereignty of the United States of America. It's the neutering of the sovereignty and the power and the independence of this great country. Why? Because we stand in the way of the global cabal. We stand in the way with our sovereignty with what we have left. We stand in the way with our constitutional republic with their so-called democracy, which is globalism, communism, and corporate fascism, just like Ryan said. Okay, we are still a light on the hill with our independence, with our God-given rights that humans have not given us. That's why they're attempting to attack the 2A, attack the United States Constitution. All they continue to push is democracy, democracy, democracy. They mean communism. This is why they're attempting to dismantle the West, because that is the agenda. We stand in the way of their global cabal agenda. This is why people's voices are important and it's imperative. It's not about left or right. It's not about Democrat or Republican. It's good versus evil, globalist versus the free people. It's as simple as that. And people need to unify behind that with Christ empowering us, because that's the only way we're going to win.
Yeah. And the breaking news from today, of course, with all this talk, is Zelensky prepares for Ukraine's participation at the World Economic Forum. And of course, he's already agreed with the BlackRock CEO for a bunch of money for the Ukraine rebuild investment. So it's all
always with the prophecies, dude. They just always know. They just always, oh, hey, in the omnibus bill, they just passed that. Oh, we're gonna, invest over $300 million for the influenza pandemic. Right, the influenza pandemic, and we need security tools. We need security tools. They just always somehow know that something's coming, right? How the hell do they know that it's time to rebuild Ukraine? How the hell do they know that this war is going to end soon? How do they know? This is why when we talk about the Ukrainian people, how do we know that this is not just another war that's been started to pocket politicians, even Zelensky, and make him super famous and put on the freaking Time magazine cover, Man of the Year or Person of the Year?
Oh, did you guys see that?
They manipulate the people. They don't care about black people. They don't care about humans. They don't care. The Zelensky doesn't care about Ukrainians. He is a puppet walking around, literally stacking millions, somehow knowing that the war is going to end Ukraine. I'm speaking to you guys as Ukrainian audience right now. How the hell does this guy know that there's an end date to this war? Someone please give me an answer to that. How do we know? Because these people know exactly what they're doing. It's clear, dude. It's not a conspiracy theory, man. It's freaking out in the open. Someone share these damn links because and screen record all of this stuff, because this is the kind of stuff that needs to go out right now. I'm serious, you guys. People are so caught up between Republican and Democrat. When you have Klaus Schwab and these people, Noah Aurora, or these globalists coming out and making these statements, pulling the strings, the puppet strings on all these people, and they're sitting around trying to wonder how this is happening. This is exactly how it's happening. This is who these people are, dude.
So Drew, we got one problem with your appearance on the show today. They're wanting you back consistently now. So either you got to dial back the amazing hot takes because they're just going to keep begging for you, or you got to keep them coming and then they're going to keep requesting you. But Drew is on point, and we need more of that type of passion out there, because Drew's it's not called Front Lines because it's a catchy name, okay? It's because he's on the damn front lines. He's been on the front lines for a long time. Go ahead, Ryan. I know you had something.
I just want to say, Jeremy, you'll always like to point out all the different times that Donald Trump is right. The reason that Donald Trump got into the entire mess of the impeachment investigation with Ukraine and all this stuff is because he knew there was stuff going on between a former vice president of the United States' son and Ukraine. Right? He wanted to investigate Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, and all the things that happened with Ukraine. And that was when he said, if you guys don't really talk to us about this, I'll think about withholding weapons and aid and everything. He inevitably didn't do that. He fucking gave all that stuff to Ukraine as well. But that's where that stuff started. And now we're sitting here, billions and billions and billions of dollars given to Ukraine with a president in charge who was involved in this. The big guy got money off the top with protecting his crackhead fucking son. Like, this is the type of shit we're all talking about. Oh, and then, by the way, FTX and the Democrats and Ukraine. There's a big connection there, I think, as well. So
it's another story that disappeared. Another story that disappeared. It's right, but you know what? Unbelievable.
You know what story didn't disappear? Donald Trump's tax returns. Oh man, yeah. Once again, we're talking about Donald Trump's tax returns. Meanwhile, you got Sam Bankman-Fried just having full-on conversations with Maxine Waters, which was the most scripted thing I've ever seen, by the way, their Twitter interactions. It was Maxine Waters and somebody else, right, that he was responding to. And it was so pathetic to see those interactions happening because you knew that they were scripted. Just like Zelensky's appearance at Congress, just like a video we're going to watch here in a minute with the most pathetic and probably the dumbest person to ever hold political office, Kamala Harris. And that speaks volumes that she's the dumbest person to hold a major political office. But I mean, she makes AOC look smart. That's how dumb Kamala Harris is. But that represents everything going on. But yes, this scripted mentality, but Trump's tax returns are still a top story with the mainstream media. That's what they're focusing on. Meanwhile, all of this other stuff is out there, and these stories just completely go away. They just completely disappear.
How come no one's asking to see Nancy Pelosi's tax returns?
Exactly. Exactly.
To expose some insider trading. How come
Trump's
no one's?
Trump's the one guy, like he lost value in his he lost money when he became a politician. Nancy Pelosi, look at her net worth before she became a politician. Look at Barack Obama's net worth before he became a politician. Look at all of their net worths before they became politicians, and look how rich they got. Donald Trump lost money, hundreds of millions, if maybe not billions of dollars when he became president. Sorry, Suresh, I interrupted you, but go ahead.
Oh, it goes to show you that everything they want you to hear, everything they want you to see is completely controlled. Once again, keeping your eye off of what's actually happening here. You have verified information with the sitting president of the United States of America and his son tied to the Ukraine. And that story is not getting any traction, but instead, Donald Trump's tax returns. That's what I see on the CNN headlines. And I'm saying to myself, are we living in, I think we are, we're kind of in the matrix, right? Because it's just a matter of what they want you to see, what they want you to hear. And I don't feel like there's enough people asking the right questions. And even with this whole Twitter thing happening, I see people noticing. I think people kind of already knew, right? They knew what was going on. Elon, alluded to that in the video. Everyone kind of knew, and they had their theories, right? And the theories ended up being right. You got to stop calling conspiracy now. It's going to be valid theories. And they all started to, everything started to come out, and everything people thought was happening, everything came to fruition, and now it's all out. But I still don't see the overwhelming response that you think you'd see when you have now in black and white documentation showing that the CIA and the FBI were essentially controlling what people could say, removing people from a platform so what they could say wouldn't be disseminated to the people. And it seems like no one really has that big of a problem with it. I don't know how it could get worse.
I know, it's wild, and we're gonna talk about the Twitter files drop as well. I have to say I can't be the only one that found it funny that Suresh is talking about the Matrix while all you can see is Tate on his shirt. That was really funny. So I had to point that one out. But yeah, the Twitter files drop. We're gonna talk about that. We do have 1,000 people here. Thank you guys for joining us on Untitled. I guess that's what we're gonna call it for now. That's our Untitled political show. Me and Ryan do this every week. We rotate it between this channel and his Patriot Outpost channel. So if you've not subscribed to Patriot Outpost, please do that. We also have Suresh, who's going to be joining us every week. So he has his own channel, The Situation with Suresh. He's also the owner of 221B Tactical. You always hear us talk about 221B Tactical. That's the guy behind it right there. And then obviously we have Drew Hernandez here. Drew is blowing up over on Rumble. So mods, make sure you drop links to all of their channels, Drew's Rumble channel, Suresh's YouTube channel, and Patriot Outpost. And we do appreciate you guys being here. So great crowd today. We'll get to super chats, but the discussions have been so good that we really couldn't break that portion up. Now on the Twitter files drop, I've been traveling the last several days, so I've been kind of out of the loop on that. I've been trying to catch up with it. So I'm going to do what I normally do and toss it to Ryan and let him tell us what's going on.
Well, the Twitter files, one of the things that we have been waiting for a long time are the Fauci files. Now, we don't exactly have, I think, the bombshell Fauci files that are going to be coming, but we started to actually get into the entire COVID narrative surrounding Twitter, surrounding the censorship, surrounding working with the government to silence people who were speaking out, who were speaking out against the approved narrative. Even people that were doctors, that were doctors at Stanford, all these people that should be trust the science. Well, these people are scientists, these people are doctors, these people have experience, but because they might disagree with the approved narrative from whatever the CDC happened to put out that day before they change it, these people were actively silenced by the government, working hand in hand with Twitter, not just Twitter, but every single other big tech company out there, whether you're talking about Google, whether you're talking about Facebook, everybody was involved in this. And that's really the most recent Twitter drop that we got. And it just, everything that we've thought was happening, everything we knew was happening, we now have all of the internal documentation that in reality, yes, it was. People were being silenced not because they were wrong, not because they were inexperienced, not because they were putting out misinformation, but because they were putting out things that didn't align with what the government wanted you to believe.
Well, and again, I think people need to realize this, like we're hyper-focused on Twitter right now. If you think that it's isolated to Twitter, I got news for you. That means you're very fucked up in the head, because this is like, you think about the reach that Facebook has, because Facebook has Facebook is so much bigger than Twitter. Most people understand this, but Facebook is so big. I don't know the amount of users that Facebook has. Is it like 2 billion users or something like that Facebook has? Twitter doesn't even have. I don't even think Twitter has maybe 500. I don't know if they have 500 million. I don't know. But the reach that Facebook has, if you think Facebook's not just as involved in this type of behavior along with Instagram, along with Google, then you're not paying attention. So while Twitter, where everybody's hyper focused on that, and we should be, and it's very awesome to see what Elon has done and the fact that he's exposed so much, it goes so much bigger than just Twitter. Twitter is just one element of it, and one of the smaller elements in all. Like if you look at all of the big tech platforms, the major ones, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Google, all of that, Twitter's by far the smallest, by far, not even close. Now I know Twitter, we get really focused in on that because of our world and the things we focus in on. Twitter is just a smidgen of what is actually going on with the big tech focus and the narratives that's being driven out there. That's what people need to really start realizing right now.
I talked to Tim Pool at AmFest a couple weeks ago. He came on my show, and I was asking him his view on the Twitter files, and I was like, man, I remember watching you on Joe Rogan when you were roasting that hack lawyer and Jack Dorsey. It was like one of the greatest things I've ever watched. And I asked him, I was like, how do you view that conversation now? Like in retrospect, like knowing what we know now. And I never really heard Tim say anything like this. And Tim was like, I had regret. I was like, regret? He's like, I regret not asking them, is the federal government involved in Twitter? And so when I heard Tim say that, I'm thinking just exactly what you guys are thinking. I think the next big question that needs to be answered is, how much is the federal government involved in Facebook, in Google, Meta, all these other platforms, right, that go across the entire board, not just the big ones, obviously YouTube, Google, you name it. But I think the investigation might have to come through a back door, maybe in DC through Congress or through some of these lawmakers, not trying to go after Facebook within themselves to disclose how much the FBI or the CIA is involved. I don't think they'll be successful there. They might actually have to do their investigation on the opposite end of things, really taking a look at what the FBI is doing, what the CIA is doing, full disclosure to the public, to see on that end, on the back end, what their involvement is with Facebook and these big tech companies. Because I think that might be a little more successful of a strategy to see. Because I don't think these people at Facebook, dude, and they all know what could potentially happen to them. I think the glitch in the matrix, I think the anomaly was a multi-billionaire just buying Twitter out of the blue one day and really buying all their secrets and disclosing what they've been doing. So, I mean, Facebook is watching that. Meta, Instagram, all these big platforms, YouTube and Google. So we have to conclude and assume that they're taking preemptive measures to protect themselves from that ever taking place. What that looks like, I don't know, but I think the best way forward would probably be getting the FBI and the CIA investigated and disclosing what they've been doing with these big tech platforms. Now, how that would be done, I think might be kind of like, it's easier said than done.
It'd be very tricky.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting to see.
Very tricky.
We saw this a little bit. I'm sorry, Jeremy, but to continue what Drew just said, we've seen this and we've kind of known this since the Edward Snowden bombshell, right? Like when that all came out, for a minute, people were like, "What? They're what? They're doing what? They're listening to what? They're watching what? They're reading what?" So at that point, we all kind of knew what was going on, and we had an understanding of the level of government overreach in our everyday communications. So when that happened, there was an initial shock by a lot of people. People were like, "Wow, I can't believe that." But I think Drew, you said this before, like once you give people a certain level of power, they're never going to relinquish power and go back down to a lower state of power. They're always going to be looking to grab more and increase that power. It's like pharmaceutical companies. Every year they have, at the end of 2022, they're going to look at how much money they made. They're going to like, listen, we have to now raise projections for next year. They're not going to say, okay, for 2023, let's dial it back a little bit and let's make a few $100 million less. No, they're going to try to figure out how to make a few $100 million or $1 billion more. The same thing with these platforms and the government overreach. There's no way, since everything came out that Edward Snowden put out, that the government in any way said, let's back off a little bit. No, in fact, and
the
now
Patriot Act. The Patriot Act. Yeah. We're going to take a little bit of power, right now to protect everybody. None of that is stopped.
Yeah.
None.
It only is going to get worse. And we knew it's getting worse. And anyone with the brain knew it was going to get worse. And guess what? It did get worse. And now it extended past, emails and, text messages and phone calls. And now it's in our social media. Of course, our social media communications, things we're posting, things now that are being censored. So it comes as no surprise to probably all of us here, but most people are just cognitively blind to it and maybe just simply don't want to believe it. Or I know there's some people who simply, they don't care. They're like, yeah, I don't know, hey, whatever. But that's even more dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Because they can be controlled easily controlled and easily manipulated. And they're the people that just be like, it's all good. And it's just whatever. Those are the people that'll be calling you a racist and a sexist next week because the narrative was put out there by the mainstream, by Twitter, by big tech. And so they go, oh man, that guy, I heard he was a racist. It's like, where did you hear that from? Oh, on the news. Because because the news, that you're just supposed to trust the news. I mean, when I was growing up, it was on the news. It must be true. And now you look back and you're like, was any of it true? Was any of the bullshit that they were saying true? Because you don't know. You really don't know. And I would tend to believe a lot of it wasn't true. A lot of the shit that I saw growing up on the news wasn't true.
Imagine how easy it would be to control everything when there's only a handful of national newspapers and 3 broadcast television news stations.
Yes.
North Korea.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. And I mean, again, we live in a world where just a couple of years ago, they convinced the whole world to shut down and wear masks and jabs, even with social media, even with all of the communication out there, they still convinced the world to shut down. They shut businesses down. They shut the NBA down, the NFL down. They shut mega corporations down, and people just fell in line with it. It's wild.
Well, that's because they did such a good job of censoring and deleting any information that went against what they were doing. They did such a good job of preventing the dissemination of any of that information. So you had scientists, you had doctors, high-level doctors, highly published doctors trying to say that this is not what should be happening and this is not what they should be doing. And they were all silenced, and they did that so everything could fall in line. And look, it worked. It worked. And now it's being exposed. But you look at even what they're doing on a smaller scale. On a smaller scale, to tie into the joke you made earlier, I watched a video the other day, and I forget who it was. And he was essentially going around asking women, what do you think of Andrew Tate? And they were like, he's a bad guy. He's a this, he's a that, he's a this, he's that, all these bad things. And then the guy was like, can you tell me one bad thing that Andrew Tate has said about women, whatever? And all these women that he was talking to were not able to say a single thing. So the only message that was out there was Andrew Tate's a bad guy that hates women and like puts down women and all this stuff. But all these people knew that. It was wired in their head. But when someone put the mic in front of them and said, tell me one thing. Tell me one thing that you heard of that personally to you, you found offensive that this man said as a woman. Not a single woman was able to say it. That's the definition of brainwashing. That is the definition. You see the same thing. People say, Donald Trump's a racist. Donald Trump's a racist. You put the mic in front of someone's face and say, so you say Donald Trump is a racist. Can you tell me one racist thing? Meaning something that happened or he did to someone of a particular race that prevented that person from some sort of opportunity or benefit that was given to someone else. Can you tell me that right now? They can't say anything. They put the message out so powerfully that this man was a racist, but they don't know how. They don't know why. They never give examples, and that's what they continue to do. It's the same thing with Ukraine. It's the same thing with COVID. Everything that they just put the message out. They don't back it up in any way, and people are so dumb, they don't try to even like say, wait, why are they saying that? What is the grounding for that? What is the reasoning for that? They just say, oh, no, this is the truth. This is the way. This is the truth. This must be real. And it led us down a 2-year path with COVID that completely changed the world. And we're not even done seeing the effects of what they did. We're not even remotely close to seeing the effects, not only financial, but what happened to the children in our schools and all of that. So, I mean, I think this is just literally the tip of the iceberg of what we're seeing now. And I'm so glad, on a side note, that public school registration is down over 35%, I recently read, and more people are homeschooling their children. So I think that's a great stat, one of the best stats I've read as of late to come out of this whole mess and this whole debacle, because now parents are bringing their children back home and they're educating their children with the things they should be learning and bringing faith and bringing Christ back into the lives of their children that obviously you couldn't even say the Pledge of Allegiance in school anymore. Forget about saying a prayer in school anymore. So you see that tide turning, and I'd like to see that.
To your point about the, asking people about Trump and Tate and all that, like there's multiple videos of people out there. They're using Biden's words from years in the past about race and black people. They tell the voter, these
Trump said
people
this.
that Trump said it, and like, oh, so horrible. And they're like, oh, sorry, that's actually Joe Biden's comment.
It's like talking about like the predators and everything. Black people are basically predators in a jungle. Some shit. Yeah.
And that just shows you the manipulation going on. It's really insane. Let me get a couple of these super chats. Thank you guys so much.
I did real quick just want to defend the women who are trying to answer that about Andrew Tate. Like, in defense, the reason they couldn't remember anything is because they're women and they're kind of fucking dumb. So I just want to put that out there.
I knew that was coming. Hayden 420, Drew, you're correct. This is what people need to see. Unfortunately, the cult refuses to look at what is directly in front of their eyes. You can show and tell them, and they deny. Asking questions may make them think, though. I think it just twists up their what little brain cells they have when you ask them questions. And then we got, hey, Dan says, better than Tim Pool.
Look at
Really?
that.
Drew, are we better than Tim Pool? I don't want to put you on the spot.
I don't want to put you on the spot. Let me ask you this question.
It was a fucking joke. Quit being offended for people, Ryan. Put your pink pussy hat on.
Pretty buddy.
So thank you so much. I will say this has been a great show so far. This has been a really solid panel, and we've had a lot of good discussions. This is why we haven't gotten to many of the super chats, but I like I said, I've said many times, I'm not the biggest fan of Tim Pool, but damn if I don't respect the fuck out of that dude. I respect him so much for what he's built. It's incredible. It really is. It's amazing. And the grind that he's on is, it's unbelievable. It really is.
Hustle's pretty nuts. You know what I want to say too is I think social media and the censorship we're seeing is kind of like a blessing in disguise. Now stay with me before you guys leave the chat. I think the censorship is kind of like a preemptive kind of warning and preview of what could potentially become real world censorship. In terms of the media, surveilling your phone, censoring what you say, showing up to your house if you say the wrong thing, which is actually taking place in some countries here on planet Earth, right? But I think what America is experiencing is kind of like this huge warning, this huge preview of this totalitarian, monstrous, authoritarian, fascist machine and entity that is just like, it's like this huge cloud that is just like looming over the United States of America that's ready to just like flood everything and anything in the real world, that just is ready to come offline and just go straight into the real world. I think that's kind of like what America is not quite understanding yet, because once you really do start to kind of like get a taste of persecution, or you get a taste of authoritarianism or real communism, and you're standing in a breadline and you're kind of wondering how the hell did we end up here? That's when you start to hate communism. That's when you start to hate globalism. And unfortunately, I do think a lot of the American public, not the viewers and people that are really awake, people that are just like you guys have just been describing, people that are just kind of going through the motions saying, I don't really care. It's not affecting my life. But I mean, take a look at what's happening with the elections. Look at 2020. That was a trial, run as well with the lockdowns and what they're continuing to push with the World Economic Forum. I just think right now we're kind of in this fragile place where these people are moving with the Great Reset, the Build Back Better agenda, which is all World Economic Forum globalist agendas. I think these people have been kind of pushing to see how far they can go. How much will the public embrace themselves? How much will the public embrace this agenda themselves? How much will the public give up their own rights themselves? How much can we get Americans to give up themselves without having to fire a shot or send anyone into a prison? So I think that's kind of how they're pushing it. It's like this PSYOP that's being run with 3-letter agencies as well. To get, really think about it, dude. Like in such a short amount of time, you have all these millennials running around preaching how much America is so bad and how much they hate America. It's the worst place to be. You have freaking Brittany Griner refusing to stand for the national anthem. She gets locked up. That dude gets locked up in Russia, and all of a sudden is like, "Oh, America, save me! I want to get back. It's horrible." Okay, that dude, Brittany Griner, is a representation of all of these millennial woke hard SJWs, okay? They think America's so bad, but they end up in some real authoritarian, situations. They all want to come back home. I think that's what I'm trying to say here is like, we talk about it a lot in theory. We see the censorship happening in real time, but once it really starts to hit home, it already is. Look at the J6 prisoners. It is happening, but on a grand scale where you will not be able to go out and say something that opposes the regime. I'm not saying just on social media, like really going outside and having conversations, against the federal government. They'll come to your house. And that's happening. That's happening in New Zealand. Look at the zero COVID policy in China. They're straight up. And that's what Klaus Schwab says. Klaus Schwab's like, China is the attractive model for the rest of the world that we want. Like these people literally want that. And what is China doing with their zero COVID policy? They're locking up their citizens in apartment buildings. They burn to the ground and die while people film it. They're giving them social credit scores. It's either red, yellow, or green when it comes to your COVID test. If you got a red, then you got to stay locked in your house. If it's yellow, they say you have to self-isolate in your house. Yeah, right. Like it's going to be self-isolation.
Yeah.
And if you're green, you're okay to walk about and, enter and access the economy. And that is what these people say they want the model to be for the rest of the world. We're not that far away from it, you guys. It's here. We've been invaded. It's here.
It's wild.
But we got about another 8 years according to their own projections. Like that's their goal. It's not really a projection. It's a goal for them that by 2030 they don't want the United States.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. The world is supposed to end. The world's gonna end in 2030, and globalism is gonna somehow still be progressing in the year 2030. You see what I'm saying, you guys?
Yeah.
All of the stuff they say, the world's going to end at this time, but by this time further, we're going to be totally progressive and unified with a global new world order. That's how they talk. It's like, how are you guys going to still be alive if the whole world is going to end? It's not. It's fake.
Nope.
It's fake. It's all fear. The greatest way to control the masses is through fear. That's why everything is a phobia, homophobia, transphobia, Islamophobia, xenophobia. Everything's a damn phobia. Everything. And that's how they control the entire world through COVID, through fear. And they're going to continue to do that with these man-made viruses that are going to come out, and they're intended to control the public, to get you to stay at home and be a good boy and to shut up and to throw all of your freedoms away. The American spirit cannot die. The American spirit of freedom will not die. And everyone that knows that is not going to let it. I'm not calling for violence. What I'm saying is that these people are real. They're real. And we have to take a stand against them. Otherwise, we are going to end up like CCP China and maybe even worse.
So
let me ask a question to you guys.
Beautifully said.
And I think it's spot on. But so there's a lot of people on, and I could come in from the tactical side of this. There's a lot of people who say that exactly what Drew said is why they're doing such a big push to take our guns. Because for the plan to be fully executed, they need to make sure that the people are unarmed and not going to be able to uprise and defend themselves. And that's the thing. That's the difference between the U.S. and China, and the U.S. and Australia, and the U.S. and Canada. So you look at what's happening in Canada has language police that actually someone on the team had told me about, that there's certain parts in Canada where you're not allowed to speak English. You have to speak French. And if the police hear you speaking English, they can come and ticket you. And so that is, to me, completely bananas. You can't even speak a language of your choice. But going back to the weapons thing, well, a lot of people in the 2A community, in the tactical community, believe that this grand plan involves not having people who are armed that are going to potentially say, hold on a second, this is not okay. I'm not some militia guy. I'm not some crazy guy. But as an American citizen, I think this sounds a little like government overreach, and I think I need to do something about this. So that is why a lot of the people in the 2A community fear they're going for the weapons grab. It's not about, gun violence in Chicago, a mass shooting at a school. That's not really, because you look at the numbers, and the numbers don't support that narrative at all. But so why are they really trying to do it? Why are they really trying to do it? If the numbers don't support the narrative that they're spinning, what's the real reason?
You're 100% right. And I saw this video. So Drew, just tell us on the stream, say, hey, fucking play my video, man. You gotta
people need to see this, dude.
No, this is bad. This is bad. I saw this going around.
What is this? What is this?
New Zealand government to now target citizens' friends and family members who oppose COVID-19 mandates and mandatory vaccines. They now encourage to report any suspicions to authorities as potential terrorists. It's fucking almost 2023, guys, and we're still talking about this.
Wow.
Secret Service is launching an initiative to help us identify people who may have been radicalized.
Know the Signs details dozens of indicators that a friend or family member could be planning a terror attack. As Adam Hollingworth reports, the move comes as our spy chiefs identify a new and worrying type of terrorism.
Time was when the intelligence services were never seen, never heard, but now they're
Gross.
loudly proclaiming your country needs you. To keep an eye on those you know, and if necessary, dob them in.
Recognising a potential warning sign and then alerting NZSAS or police could be the vital piece in the puzzle that ultimately saves lives.
To that end, they're publishing a guide called Know the Signs to help us all identify potential terrorists in our midst.
To pay attention if they are, and to be alert so that if they see or hear about something that seems off, that worries them and concerns them, they might have a look at this information to say, does this indicate to me that this person is on the road to actually committing an attack?
Jesus. I just want to say real quick,
that is one ugly mother.
This person with this hair, it looks like trans Superman. Like that looks like what this person's like trying to look like here.
That's like a really fucked up Clark
With
Kent.
a little Clark Kent bang, little Superman bang.
Look at that. Superman. Yeah.
Actually committing an attack.
The SIS has listed around 50 signs, from obvious ones, like writing on a weapon, as happened in Christchurch, to
a person who is really developing an us versus them worldview.
Authorities say they're usually closely monitored.
What, you mean like the entire fucking New Zealand government, like multiple governments? If you don't agree with us, then we're gonna fucking put you in jail. Superman, that's pretty fucking
Watch this. Play it.
40 to 50 potential terrorists. These people used to be motivated by their white identity or by their faith. But in the past 6 months, a third group has emerged, those motivated by politics.
And so it could be the COVID measures that the government took, or it could be other policies that are interpreted as infringing on rights. And it's what I sometimes describe as a kind of hot mess of ideologies and beliefs, fueled by conspiracy theories,
That is a man's ear. Like, this is not the ear of a woman. That's the ear of a 60-year-old man. You know what I mean?
That's the same woman with the red glasses that was patting Zelensky on the back, I think. I swear.
Yeah. Fucking Willem Dafoe. Yeah, like every very ugly like trans person kind of looks like Willem Dafoe a little bit.
Theories.
The launch of the initiative Know the Signs is an indicator that the security services know that they can't do it alone. They need the help of the public. But to some, the guide is a first step only.
How do we upskill those people in our community who are much closer to people who might be potentially radicalized and get them to understand what it is they're seeing? That's our challenge.
God,
You know what this video is?
Tired of it.
You know what this video is? This video is exactly what Gina Carano got canceled for.
Yes.
Yes. Ironically.
Yes.
That's exactly what this video is, from beginning to end, bro.
Yep.
From beginning to end.
Wait,
And
did they say
don't
the
understand
first, did they say the first two signs were whiteness and faith?
They said people that are motivated by their identities, whether it's because of their whiteness or because of their faith. And they said now a new group is emerging, politics.
I cannot believe they said that out loud. Like, and they put it in a pamphlet.
It's out in the open, dude.
And now it's like, again, you look at it's the same fucking language as when they're talking about movie reviews.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's the same language. They're talking about this like the weirdos talk about radicalized movie reviews. Like me and Ryan get accused of radicalizing people on YouTube over movie takes. All the language is the exact same. And trust me, that word radicalized, they've done their research to see what type of impact that has when they put that word out there. That word radicalized, they've done testing to see, like, how does the general public react when you say someone's been radicalized? And clearly that word has some type of effect. And that's why they continue to use that word, radicalization, because I guess it gives them some sense of fear. I guess I'm not sure what it is, but yeah, it is. It's like
it makes people not want to be that. It makes people not want to be that, right? Because no one wants to sit there and consider themselves as a radical. But if they put a list out to say, hey, these are the things that a radicalized person does, and you see yourself doing those things or thinking about those things, you're gonna be like, oh my God, am I radicalized? Am I a radical? Am I the person they're talking about? It's not so much, to me, what we're seeing is it's not so much what they're doing, because they're doing it, and they're doing it out in public, and they're doing it out in the open. The thing is, they have a problem with people talking about what they're doing. Doing what they're doing, no problem. But if you have a voice and you say, hey, have you seen this guy do this? Or have you seen this person say this? For you noticing what they're doing out in the open and then bringing it to light for everyone else to see, you're the bad guy. And now you're the problem. And that's the most bizarre thing about it. You're doing it in the open. I'm just letting more people know what you're openly doing and saying. How am I the bad guy?
Because you're opposing the regime. You're an insurrection. You're an insurrectionist. You're an opposer of the fascist totalitarian regime. Even when you come out and say, like, if you support the Second Amendment, you're radicalized. If you support an armed militia taking up arms to defend the union or the state or a particular state, you're considered a radicalized American, because the people at the top don't believe in American sovereignty. So they believe in their fascist totalitarian corporate, little functions and circles of power across, the culture, the media, politics, and you name it. So anyone that opposes that, you just being pro-America by default, you could be the biggest freaking, Democrat for the past 50 years, right? The past 60 years, the biggest Democrat. You just loved America. You put up an American flag. You love the traditions. You just liked to vote blue. Okay. Even those people that are not down with socialism and the current modern day globalist Democrat Party, okay, like traditional Democrats or whatever, even you, okay, if you're like super Gen X or a boomer, even you are considered too radical. Why? Because you believe in American ideologies. You cannot, they can't coexist with these people. They claim, that's what I'm saying. Their whole idea of unity is not real unity. Their idea of unity is you fall in line with us. And if you stand for America and individual freedoms, you are in the way. You're radical. You're an They said the same thing about Jesus, by the way. The Romans viewed Jesus as a straight up insurrectionist. You want to know why? Because aside from the spiritual aspect of things and the religious aspects of things, they viewed Rome. That's why Pontius Pilate was being pressured to kill Jesus, because his Roman superiors were taking a look at him and saying, hey, this guy could rally up all these Jews, all these poor people, and cause a revolution and literally become an insurrectionist against Rome and our kingdom. That's part of the reason why Pontius Pilate was pressured into historically killing Jesus. All right. So at the same time, anyone that stands up against a tyrant is going to be considered an insurrectionist. And the original insurrectionist is Jesus Christ.
Good company to be in.
And it's the thing they're throwing out there now. If you speak out in any kind of way, like, oh, you're probably one of those J6 insurrectionists. You're like, wait, what? What? Well, as Ryan and I spoke about last week, according to the new Stanford, was it Stanford paper that came out?
Stanford, published their list of offensive language. Yeah.
List of offensive language. The word
American. Let me get some water. I'll be right back.
Okay. American. The word American was on the list of offensive terms. Calling yourself an American, referring to someone as an American, is on the list of Stanford's offensive terms that should no longer be used.
It's just, oh, go ahead, Ryan.
It's just all of it. We've seen the same thing play out for years and years, whether it's calling someone a racist, whether it's calling someone sexist, transphobic, bigot, homophobic, radicalized. It's all an effort to not really deal with arguments, not really deal with any type of pushback, just label someone something that the normal average day person that comes across it is going to immediately not want to associate with that thing. And that's what the use of radicalize is used. For people like us who are paying attention, we know that's fucking bullshit. But for some people that aren't caught up in this, who are still watching the news, who aren't woken up to what's actually going on, They hear that word, and the intention is to make them think that now anyone who spouts that type of ideology is radicalized. And unfortunately, it still works on a lot of people.
Well, here, if you want to talk about radicalization, let's talk
Hey,
about
I'm radicalized, guys. I'm radicalized.
Here we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. That's from 221B right there.
I'm yay now, guys.
Here's
I love Ryan. I love Ryan Kennel. I love Ryan Kennel.
You know, the RK Outpost guy, he did some good things. You know?
I love Ryan Kennel. We need to stop. We need to stop villainizing Ryan Kennel. Whenever you make Ryan negative, we got to stop that.
I agree, Yay.
We
I
got to
agree.
stop that. We stop it right now because I love Ryan.
Hey,
I love that white man.
Yay. Jamie's like, all right, we got to go to a break right now, but we'll come back. We'll come back, talk to Nick. We'll talk to Yay. We'll talk to everybody. Don't worry.
Sorry, guys. I've been totally radicalized by Geeks and Gamers and Ryan Kennel. And
I'm radicalized. I had Ryan in my house.
Yeah, I heard that.
true.
Here's some real radicalization right here.
You're a president of law and order and an ally of all peaceful protesters.
The vast majority
Oh, God. Why is this?
of the protests have been peaceful.
Republicans stand for law and order, and we stand for justice.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be.
My administration will always stand against violence, mayhem, and disorder.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
I stand with the heroes of law enforcement.
Oh, fucking.
Anymore, anywhere. We will never defund our police. Together, we will ensure that America is a nation of law and order.
We were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
I think you need to go back and punch him in the face. Feel like punching him.
We just want law and order. I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price. We want law and order. We have to have law and order.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
We believe in safety.
Jesus, man. These people are so
Why do they
freaking
say it?
pathetic.
They say it so orgasmically too. They're like, I'm gonna punch him. I'm gonna punch him. I want to punch him. Like they're like getting off. These people are just. Oh,
it's wild. It's wild. Man, we've had a hell of a show today. We're gonna have to wrap this up pretty soon. We only wanted to go about an hour and a half. I'm gonna try to catch some of these super chats. If I don't get to all of them, I will do those on a stream. I'll do another stream here in a few days because you guys have been yelling at me. I haven't been making enough content here on this channel, falling off again. But I have a good excuse. I've been back and forth between Orlando trying to get everything set up down there, and that's going to be happening probably sooner than later. And could you imagine, having us our little setup there and we bring Drew and Suresh in and do some content and then send these two guys out.
We got to do that Super Bowl tailgate party, guys. If the Super Bowl's in Arizona, you guys got to come out here.
Let's do it. Let's do it. We got to wait for Alex Stein to get his tickets.
Alex Stein needs to get his tickets. Drew will bring the food. We're gonna have a big fucking Super Bowl tailgate party in Arizona.
I'll bring tons of Mexican candy straight from the border for Ryan.
Okay. That's really the reason we need to secure the fucking border is to stop the Mexican candy. I don't care about the fucking criminals coming in, the fucking drugs coming in, the fucking rapists coming. I don't care about any of that shit, right? I care about the infiltration of Mexican candy into this country. It needs to be fucking stopped. I've had enough. Build the wall.
The next crisis. The Mexican candy crisis.
Well, on that note, you're going to see the Mexican candy video. Ryan trying Mexican candy and Ivan trying American candy. That video is going to be uploaded to Geeks and Gamers probably in about an hour after this ends. So I'm looking forward to that.
You're right, Gung Ho Mac.
Oh man, you guys are a trip. You guys are a trip. We got Locked and Loaded Latina. Joe. So
Joe?
Drew is awesome. Happy to see him on the show. Thank
Let's
you,
go.
Joe. Our very own Joe from Geeks and Gamers. She's awesome.
She is awesome.
Even Eric K says even CBS put a story out. They pulled 30% of aid is actually getting to them. The rest is going to all the organized crime and politicians. That was earlier on. Thank you, Eric K. Hayden, the global government types co-opted the LGBT mafia. They found they could use that to infiltrate not only corporations, but schools and the minds of midwits. They've built the cult with high walls. Love all of y'all's work. Thank you, Hayden.
Thank you, Hayden.
I really appreciate that. Let's see. Patriotic Gestalt says, let's see. Damn you, Drew. I'm inspired again. Fear is the opposite of faith. If you're inspired by that, you should have saw him playing Fortnite last night. Man, beastin'. We had a lot of fun, though.
Ryan was there. Ryan was there.
Yeah, Ryan.
Fortnite?
Yeah.
I wasn't there.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, you were.
Yeah, you were.
Can you find that, Krista? Can you find that picture, Krista? I don't think Steph knows about it, but Krista, see if you can find that and
Krista,
just pause it on the screen cap, and we'll show Ryan. I think you actually show the video clip, Krista. Krista and Steph are backstage, guys. So chat, you can all say hello to them if you want to. But yeah, see if you can find it, Krista, and then just share your screen if you can find it. Yeah, they want to see it right now. So yes, Ryan, you were there, and Drew actually is the one that said, he's like, "There's Ryan."
I never noticed it before until last night.
Ryan's just sitting there being angry, making videos, getting 100,000 views, and we're just memeing him on
playing 5 hours of fucking Fortnite. Yeah.
Ruthie, Star Wars for Life. Love listening to the streams during my lunch.
There he is.
Yeah, there he is.
There's Ryan. There he is, dude.
Oh, that does kind of look like me.
As soon as Drew saw it,
Oh,
like, that's right.
Right when I saw it, I've never seen it before playing. Hey, look, it's Ryan.
That does look like me. I'll take that. Yeah.
Ruthie, Star Wars Voices. Love listening to these streams during my lunchtime. Have a wonderful stream. Thank you, Ruthie. Zenny Biscuit says shootout. I think it says shout out is what you meant to say. Shout out to my uncle who set us up with a hotel Friday and Saturday. Power went out Friday morning till Saturday night. Hope y'all enjoyed Christmas. Well, thank you, Zenny Biscuit. Sorry to hear that, but I'm glad you got accommodations, and I hope you had a Merry Christmas. As long as everybody in the chat, hope you had a great Christmas. Got time, spend time with your family, your friends, eat a lot of food, argue. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. Just remember, if your power went out because your government refused to, invest in the infrastructure, just remember we're sending all of that money to Ukraine, so they can survive the winter.
That's right.
With fuel. With fossil fuels. Not $1 of the 91 billion is going towards solar or wind power in the Ukraine. Just so you know that.
How shocking.
Eric K says Jeremy, Ryan, Suresh, Drew, great panel, great people. Thank you. Appreciate that. Jake the Movie Geek, politics is the left's religion. So Zelensky is the second coming of Christ for them. It's why they worship George Floyd. It's weird. You are not wrong at all.
Spot on.
You are not wrong. Eric K has become a member. Scott McKenzie has become a member. Greetings, patriots. Keep the flag of liberty and freedom flying high. Thank you. Let's see. Where did it go? It jumped on me. How freaking hell did it go? Okay, here we go. DTOM and come and take it. Great panel, and next election cycle will be huge. Vote. 2024 is going to be massive. And again, it's going to get crazy. And that's why we wanted to start this show now and kind of get this party started, because it's going to lead us into the 2024 situation. I can't even process how crazy it's going to be. And mainly because the most important figure in all of politics has decided to run, and that will be Mike Pence. He's clearly going to just defeat Trump. He's going to defeat DeSantis. Mike Pence is...
That was a false...
So
that was a false report, correct?
Yeah, I saw Benny uploaded a video talking about the troll or whatever. I didn't watch it yet, Benny's thing on it, but I heard it was like a troll. It was either a troll or a false story. I don't know the exact situation.
Someone filed for Mike Pence. like
Okay.
as a fucking troll, basically.
Okay.
They immediately came out and denied it. So, he is going to run, like of course he is, and he's going to be a failure.
Yeah.
But
he can't afford to. He can't afford to submit this early on, because he needs to submit when it's like he's not going to get any conversation. Nobody gives a shit about Mike Pence anyway. So all Mike Pence is trying to do is basically get he's going to try to make profit off of this.
Yeah,
he's going to get the good graces of people, write a book, like do all that kind of stuff. So him and Mike Pompeo will both fucking declare at some point in time. But neither of them had any chance.
No chance whatsoever. But that whole situation is just leading into like, I don't know how the primaries are going to go, debates. I don't know. It's going to be wild. So we're here for it. And I love all that stuff in terms of the debates and just speculating as to what's going to happen. So yeah, time will tell, but that's why we wanted to get this started. And yes, we will get Benny Johnson on this show in the very near future as well. We love Benny. Benny's expressed a lot of interest wanting to work with us as well. So we'd love to make that happen. And yeah, I mean, this was a really solid episode. So Drew, what do you have going on? Let the people know.
Yeah, so you guys could watch my show Frontlines. It's on Real America's Voice. You guys, I think the mods are putting it in the chat. Yeah, you guys could tap those links in the chat, and we get crazy over there because we're on Rumble, we're on the Internet TV network, so I could pretty much say a lot. And also, I kind of rebooted my personal live stream podcast, Drew Hernandez Live. I took it off of YouTube. And it's exclusively on Rumble now. I'm really happy with Rumble and working with Rumble and them giving me the platform and helping me grow my channel. So if you guys could help me rebuild, I was getting super throttled on YouTube. They came after me hard. I was at like 70K, just could never grow. So I'm rebuilding from scratch on Rumble. We were able to get, I think, like 10K in like a month. So it's looking good. I'm happy with that. So if you guys want to go sub and support me, you can do that and follow me on Twitter at Drew H Live and everywhere else.
Hell yeah, man. It was awesome having you on. It was awesome having you on. I did see Mark Wilkins said you guys need to get Styx Hexahammer on. I don't even know him. Does he even know who we are?
Styx? I have no idea if he knows who we are. I've watched Styx a lot over the years.
So I mean, I'd love to have him on. I don't know if he knows anything about us, but yeah, I'm sure we obviously run in the same circles, and he's an OG. So
real quick, I have one more plug. Yeah, tonight, actually on my show Frontlines on Real America's Voice and Rumble, I have Bryson Gray on.
Nice.
And listen, I love Bryson.
Bryson's awesome.
What I will say is I think this is probably one of my most favorite episodes I've ever done on that show, and we're like 120 episodes in.
Make America straight again, right?
People need to really tune in tonight if you want to, get offended. I'll just leave it at that.
We've had Bryson on Tuesday night's main event before. Bryson's cool, man. He's awesome. So yeah, I see you guys saying people like Mark Dice. We'll have pretty much anybody on. Yeah, I'd love to have conversation with pretty much anybody out there. So as this show grows, as this show evolves, more opportunities will present themselves. So Beach Lover says, thank you for this very interesting conversation. I'm listening to you from Europe. Holy shit, that's awesome. Thank you.
Nice,
Viral Short says,
nice.
the point is to turn us into China. I'm trying to see if there's a couple more here. Since a shark bait, Zelensky is closing down churches and going after Christians. Nothing in the mainstream media about it. The mainstream is the corruption of the mainstream is so insane now that I don't know how anybody cannot see it for what it is, but whatever. We'll continue to discuss it. Suresh, where can they find you, man?
On YouTube at The Situation with Suresh. Thank you to you guys and everyone in the Geeks and Gamers family. The channel is growing very nicely. I'm always closely monitoring what I'm saying, and got to fight against the YouTube algorithm. But over on TikTok, same thing, at The Situation with Suresh, and my personal Instagram I just throw out there. But of course, for 221B Tactical, where you can get all your Geeks and Gamers merch and check out all the other stuff if you are a responsible civilian U.S. citizen, American, although Stanford says American's not a good word to use. If you're a responsible American and you're interested in protecting your family and all that good stuff and being prepared, which is another evil word, you can check out 221B Tactical, at 221B Tactical everywhere, and starting the Rumble in the new year. So looking forward to getting some good traction on Rumble as well, because it's a great platform, a lot of great people over there, and just looking to continue growing. I love this, man. I love what we're doing here. I love what you guys are doing here, because this is like we're talking about today. It's a conversation and conversations that need to be had. So it's important. It's important for people to listen. And, you know, I think one of the most important things is, if you're one of the people that were watching this stream, invite a friend to watch. And, you know, it's great to have like-minded people in here that already get it. But what's more important is that you invite a friend that might be not quite aligned with what you're thinking, and say, hey, just check out these guys talking, see what they're sharing about, and see what you think. See what your heart tells you, you know, and go with that. So that's the one thing I always tell people on my streams is, it's nice to get the people that align with me, but bring a friend, share it with a friend, and say, hey, let's check this out, and listen in and see what you think. And that's how we get the message out, and that's how we grow, and that's, you know, strength in numbers.
Nice. Very well said, sir. I will say there's been a big flaw in both of your send-off speeches, and that neither one of you thanked Jennifer Lawrence for creating this stream and creating all of our opportunities. So it just shows your toxicity. You've both been radicalized. You've both been radicalized. So
I feel so bad.
Jennifer Lawrence, is there a Jennifer Lawrence skin in Fortnite? I just play as Jennifer Lawrence and just murk everybody. That's what I'm gonna do. So
Hunger Games skin, maybe.
Yeah, I heard that. Ryan, where can they find you?
Go check out Patriot Outpost. That's my political channel where you'll hear all the same stuff we're talking about here. That's where I do that. My entertainment channels, RK Outpost. I also do stuff over on Sports Wars. About to upload a video about how the NBA is trying to pretend like their Christmas Day ratings are a success when actually it's a complete and total failure. So stand by for that in about an hour or so.
All right. So the American candy versus Mexican candy video will be on Geeks and Gamers a little bit later today on the Geeks and Gamers channel. So make sure you check that out. Thank you guys so much. Smash the melee button. The stream will stay live here on the channel. So at least I have some type of content here on the channel, but I will make videos more. Don't worry. I will make videos. And you can find more of my stuff over on the main Geeks Gamers channel, and obviously here on my personal channel. So we're live on Rumble as well, my D-Day Cobra Rumble. So thank you for checking us out over there. Appreciate all of you. Thanks to the mods, thanks to the ladies backstage, Krista and Steph, and for everybody that supports. We appreciate it. We'll see you guys very soon. Have a great day, and we will talk to all of you later. Bye.